Thanks for tuning in today. You might know this is one of my recently completed projects. It's a 1969 Honda Trail 90 that was in pieces and rusting away in a pasture when I found it. As the socket documents, I was able to bring it back to life, and now it runs great, it gets wonderful fuel economy. I actually think I've taken more gas out of it for the weed whacker and starting fires than I put back in. Not really sure how that works. It's reliable, it's good looking, it's a pan baby, just a fabulous motorcycle that I thoroughly enjoy. However, if there is one area that leaves me wanting, it's the power department. Now, I'm not just going to come out and call it slow, but I'm pretty sure an egg timer puts out more horsepower than a Trail 90. But that's to be expected. After all, the piston's only about this big. Cream of tartar. I always keep it in my pocket. Anyway, pop, 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 pop. That's not the kind of power that'll put a man on the moon. Everybody knows you need a big warehouse in Stanley Kubrick for that. Now, unrelated topic. I find it very relaxing and soothing to go on Craigslist and browse all the for sale listings. It's not that I'm in the market for anything, I just enjoy looking at stuff people are selling. It could be cars, motorcycles, fine jewelry, whatever. Just good, clean fun, right? Let's think about this situation. I have a desire for a motorcycle that goes faster than backwards, and I'm also constantly on Craigslist doing this. If you can see past your own corneas, you already know what happened. Oh yeah, I found a deal that was positively too good to pass up. 2007 Husqvarna TE250 motorcycle. That's right, Husqvarna, like the chainsaw. So here's the particulars. The price was $1,600, which seemed awfully reasonable. The bike also looked really nice in the picture. Never mind, the picture was your typical Craigslist low resolution, and it wasn't a nice tight shot either. It actually looked more like it was taken from outer space. But I called up the seller and he said the motorcycle was in really good shape, except that the electric starter wasn't working. Fine, sounds good. But the more I talked to him, it seemed really difficult to get a straight answer out of this guy. Tough questions like, does it run? And is the registration current? Were unanswerable. So it became clear I was dealing with a squirrely fella. But for me, the train had already left the station. I wanted the motorcycle. So I loaded everybody up, we took the Dodge, and I was on a mission to get me some Swedish sweetness. Oh, and it was also about a 150-mile drive, one way, just to look at the thing. But we made the journey, stopped for lunch at Dickie's along the way, and finally arrived. It was a small house in town, but thoughtfully landscaped with transmissions. I got out of the truck and saw my blind date. And the first thought I had was, I just wasted 6 hours and 18 gallons of diesel. It was the same motorcycle I saw in the listing, but boy, was it ugly.
How ugly was it?
How ugly? It was so ugly, if I drove it through an intersection, the cameras would explode. This was an ugly bike. I mean, it was so ugly, it looked like a tornado picked it up and then dropped it in a hurricane. So, of course, I did what any reasonable person would. I bought it.
I just want to take you home, take you home to my house.
Well, here it is. What do you think? We made it all the way back home, and I'm really excited to get started on this thing. Like most vehicle purchases I've made, I wasn't aware of everything that's wrong with this bike at the time of sale. That's partially because the seller was sneaky, but it's also because it's tough to fully assess something complicated like a car or a motorcycle in the few minutes that are typically spent with the machine before making a deal. So now that I've had a little time to go over the bike and gain a more complete understanding of its condition, here's what I've figured out. Remember on the phone, the only problem the seller mentioned was the electric starter? That's definitely not an all-inclusive list. We have a leaking fork seal, cracked plastic, an intake manifold that's held together with tape, cracked air boot, a kickstarter that won't close and appears to be pinned together with a wood screw, the back brakes don't work, the tire is bald, the rear fender is cracked and doesn't have a license plate. That's because this motorcycle has out-of-state title and expired registration. The battery is missing, the electric starter will turn when power is applied, but it doesn't engage the engine, so there must be trouble with the internal gears. This radiator is bent, the clutch doesn't work, the throttle is sticky, and to finish things off, rather than spend $8 on new grips, the previous owner decided to refurbish the existing ones with pipe tape. So that's the damage report. So far. It's more work than I had hoped for, but not really something I didn't anticipate, as you'll see in this next clip. You know, I've been buying and selling things for a little while now. I'm an old pitchfork, and this ain't my first pile of shit.
So is this going to be a project bike or just for fun?
You know, that's a good question. Judging by what the seller told me, I'm thinking and I'm hoping it will be just kind of a soft project. But as I've found out in the past, things that are represented to me before I show up to actually look at them aren't always what I thought they would be. So I'm hoping that it's just going to need a little bit of a tinker here and there to get back on the road and ready to go. Yeah, just a tinker here and there and we'll be good.
Right on, man. When you're walking the road of life, never underestimate how far you can get with optimism and delusion.
But really, there's some good aspects about this motorcycle as well. One, it's a street legal dirt bike. That's 235 pounds of fun. Two, it runs. But I'm not going to start it right now because of the taped up manifold, cracked intake boot, and general state of neglect. 3, less than 2,000 original miles, although it looks like some of those might have been dragged miles. 4, price. The rascal selling this thing was motivated, so I only paid $1,200 for it instead of the $1,600 he was asking.
Paid too much. Seems to me you just bought yourself a nickel for 35 cents. Congratulations, you're an idiot.
So that's what I'm working with. My plan of action for this bike is to completely take it apart and piece by piece inspect, repair, and replace as necessary. In the end, I should have a solid, good-looking bike and possibly an overdrawn checking account. We'll get started on that next time. Thanks for watching.